Yeah, 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 yeah.
If companies that go woke actually do go broke, it could be a billion-dollar investment opportunity that all the biggest hedge funds in the world are ignoring.
There are no consequences for going super woke in terms of trying to appeal to the far left wing in this country. And then Bud Light puts out this, remember it was a March Madness advertisement, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
You know, we showed it to you yesterday, and it was Pepsi's controversial commercial that starred Kendall Jenner. And the ad even caught the attention of Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, Bernice. She tweeted this photo, "If only Daddy would have known about the power of Pepsi."
Companies going woke is the trend of their communications, products, and advertising materials, aligning their brand with progressive or liberal values and ideas. People who have noticed these trends have also noticed that companies perform worse financially after these branding changes. As a brand manager, alienating a share of your customer base with advertising materials and tweets that contradict their beliefs is not a good move, especially when they...
Wow, man, there's a lot to break down in this video. So in this joint, you talking about, do companies that go woke actually go broke? Like, is that hurting their business? I think whether or not you agree with what they're saying, I just think it is kind of alienating. So it is like unnecessarily alienating. But then again, I don't know the goal of these companies, but it just doesn't really work out all the time that I've seen. But yeah, let's get into this. Leave suggestions in the comments and let's go.
They are highly invested in the issue. It's now common to see customer backlash and product boycotts over ideological issues like Anheuser-Busch's now infamous Bud Light partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. The paid Instagram and TikTok posts from their activists promoting the beer sparked backlash from conservatives who boycotted the brand in protest. In a desperate attempt to win those customers back, Anheuser-Busch's CEO in an earnings call meeting said this:
"We need to continue to clarify the facts, that this was one can, one influencer, one post, and not a campaign."
And repeat this message for some time. This attempt to distance themselves from the controversial marketing campaign backfired when progressive customers also started boycotting the product.
Really prided ourselves in working with brands that like to support the LGBTQ plus community more than just putting rainbows on cans.
This was a rare...
And that's what I'm saying, man. It's just polarizing. Whether or not you support it or not, it just keeps kind of manipulative. Like you're doing something kind of for the I gotcha moment. Like, oh, let's do this so they could buy more beer. Like, and I get it, it's marketing to some extent, but it's just very manipulative. It's sneaky. It's slimy. But yeah, man, I don't.
A case where a brand was too woke and simultaneously not woke enough. But it did show that customers would be lost from both sides of the political aisle.
On the one side, the more conservative community is annoyed about the sponsorship. On the other side, the LGBTQ community is annoyed because Bud Light didn't come back and rally behind and take a stand one way or the other.
So this video should really be called, "Do brands that pick sides on divisive issues lose market share?" But that doesn't rhyme, so I'm sticking with my choice. Since the post was first made, Bud Light sales slumped 23% in May compared to sales the year before, costing Anheuser-Busch roughly $60 million in just 31 days. Bud lost their sales to competitors like Miller Lite, Coors Light, and Modelo Especial, which overtook Bud Light as America's best-selling beer in the very same month. Customers are also becoming more aware of social messaging from companies. So even if advertising is in line with your beliefs, you can still respond negatively to it because it comes off as pandering by a company that only wants your money. But if companies actually do exist exclusively to maximize returns of their shareholders, and ideologically aligned decisions like this can have such enormous financial consequences, then why the f don't brands just shut the f up and stop making their products a political statement? Well, there are 3 reasons why companies seem to be making this terrible mistake, and 3 reasons why investing based on wokeness is a terrible idea. The first reason that companies seem to be making these terrible PR mistakes is their failure to adapt their marketing to new platforms that allow for unpredictable audience engagement, both good and bad. User-generated social media and content platforms have become an important tool in any direct-to-consumer marketer's arsenal. Marketing through official online advertising platforms like Google AdSense or Meta's Facebook ads is significantly cheaper on a pay-per-view basis than than legacy advertising channels like television, radio, or newspapers. Online advertising can also be done by riding on the back of exposure given to influencers on similar platforms through paid posts. The reason that Bud Light paid Dylan Mulvaney to promote their product is because they had 11.5 million followers across Instagram and TikTok, so their product would be seen by a lot of potential customers. Both forms of online advertising have the benefit of being able to directly call customers to action by providing a link to a website where they can sign up for a service or make a direct purchase. Advertising through influencers has the additional feature of aligning a brand with an inbuilt audience that has an inherent level of trust in the person selling the product themselves. Endorsements of bad companies can be highly damaging to an audience, particularly when they are watching an influencer for advice on a particular subject. To brands, that trust is an asset, and it lets them select their audience less indiscriminately than if they were advertising through legacy advertising channels. The Bud Light marketing executives that greenlit the Dylan Mulvaney campaign certainly knew that the campaign would clash with a large share of their customer base, but
I'm so confused on why Bud Light did that. Like, genuine question. Did they really think that would help them as a company? And I really don't get it. I'm not even gonna lie, like, I don't get it. It was a very idiotic decision. I'm not even gonna lie. Usually I try to play devil's advocate, like, see both sides, but did they really think that would help them?
they probably expected that those customers would not be looking at these videos in the first place. Product executives use market segmentation based on geographic, demographic, behavioral, and psychographic divisions all the time. The best marketing campaigns can promote a product to two opposing groups without alienating either. When Apple advertises its iPhone to children and young creatives, they focus on its cameras, the App Store, and exclusive blue text boxes so the customer's friends know they are a part of the crowd. When Apple advertises the same product to white-collar professionals that the young hip crowd wants nothing to do with, they focus on data security, reliability, and compatibility with other business tools. The example of Apple has much lower stakes because nobody is going to boycott the iPhone just because it appeals to the opposing group. But the company still has to be careful about where it places its adverts so it doesn't waste its marketing budget. When companies take a bigger swing on a more controversial topic, it can go horribly wrong if marketers target the wrong market with the wrong message. Procter & Gamble, the makers of Gillette razors, launched the Best a Man Can Be advertising campaign in early 2019. The short film showcased scenes of men demonstrating negative behavior such as bullying, sexism, and toxic masculinity. The messaging was overwhelmingly received negatively by the company's target audience, which was men, even though it received...
I get it, but if you're a razor product for men, why would you make an ad that talks negatively about men? Bro, like, dude, I just don't get these companies, bro. If you are a product that's for men, 80% of your sales is for men, why are you making an ad that attacks men? Like, bro, you just think we're like your consumers are just idiots. Like, you think we're just dumb.
See praise from groups that were not in the market for men's grooming products.
Whenever you take a stand, you always risk losing a few people. And if nothing else, they're going to be buzzed about, they're going to be talked about, this is going to get a lot of attention, and that's always good for a brand.
That's what happens when marketers pick their wrong audience. But the viral nature of internet messaging can make it hard to control who sees a message. When advertising through influencers, marketers have less control over segmentation, because any post or video can go viral and get the attention of the part of their customer base that they didn't want to see it. Under normal circumstances, the Bud Light post would have just been shared to the influencer's supportive audience, Anheuser-Busch would have sold some beer to a new group of customers, and everybody would have quickly forgotten about it. And that's the first reason why trading on the go woke, go broke investment philosophy is not going to work. This one example ended badly for the brand, but there's no way to reliably predict which missteps are going to go viral and which ones are going to be ignored.
Like, respond to the things that are meaningful for you, not because it's a great marketing moment, but because it's real, because you actually believe it.
Even the Bud Light incident, which is probably the most serious case of customer backlash against an advertising campaign, only resulted in a 15% stock drop. A large movement, but still well within the usual trading volatility of the company. Even if you were able to accurately predict the next major marketing fail, your gains could be wiped out by normal market movements. But that's just short-term speculation. The real play is to find companies that have changed their entire product offering to pander to one group at the expense of the wider audience. And there are plenty of companies doing this too. So it's time to learn how money works to find out if companies that go woke actually do go broke and why they insist on doing it anyway. This week's lesson was sponsored by Blinkist. Blinkist is a convenient app that us to discover calories and jack, reinforcing my understanding with key ideas. It then suggests my next read, starting with key points before I dive into a full book. With Blinkist Spaces, recommend books within shared space. The second reason that companies pick sides on divisive issues is because it works, but just not for the companies. There are companies that go beyond altering just their advertising and actually change their entire business offering to cater to a particular market segment. This involves changing not just marketing strategies, but also product offerings and hiring practices as well. Even if hiring based on identifiable features is illegal in America and most other countries, there are easy ways around these rules that companies can use to their advantage. Disney is frequently called out for putting a heavy emphasis on progressive messaging in their films and TV shows, and for casting actors and actresses based on race or identity. The company now has declining viewership in its largest franchises, Marvel and Lucasfilm, and their live-action remakes of legacy films. Ideological issues are also the basis for the company's disputes with the governor of Florida, the state home to Disney World, and the Disney Cruise Lines. The mistake here is thinking that a company with over 180,000 employees can always stay aligned on issues. Hollywood has a progressive culture, and studio executives can eschew responsibility for bad decisions by saying an audience didn't like a movie because their bias is towards a particular group. Staying in line with the culture of Hollywood also makes securing talent easier for big studios. A big-name actor or director will reliably bring in more viewers than are lost by making sure they can put their spin on the production. Ideological hiring is also a great excuse for companies looking to get the cheapest possible talent. The tragic recent story of the OceanGate Company and their Titan submarine exposed some unfortunate corporate decisions made by the company and its founder Stockton Rush. One that's coming under a lot of scrutiny in hindsight was the company's decision to only hire young free-thinking engineers because they, quote, didn't want to hire 50-year-old white guys to pilot and engineer their sub.
Wow. I never knew this stuff happened. OceanGate CEO explains why he didn't want to hire 50-year-old... Wait, what? That's not right at all, man. That is terrible.
Gentlemen who were ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology.
It's very difficult for a career professional to defend.
And look what happened after he did that. I don't even got to say what happened with that story. I'm not even going to say it, but y'all know what happened.
50-year-old white guys without attracting labels that could hurt their career, and so the practice of woke hiring can continue unabated. The reality of this company and others like FTX, Theranos, and WeWork is that they wanted employees that were cheap to hire and overwork, or employees that didn't have the experience to point out shortcomings in the company's operations. Since poorly managed companies can't say they are doing that, they instead say they have a young and disruptive workforce, which makes them almost impossible to criticize without being called a hater or worse. It's not good for the company, but it is good for the decision makers who need to avoid being fired or exposed for their ineffective management. The problem with betting against these companies is markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. If you believe that Disney changed its product offerings to be more socially progressive at the expense of quality, when would you have entered a short position? Disney's stock is down 60% from its all-time high in 2021, but it's up from when it supposedly went woke. Analysts unanimously agree that recent declines have mostly been caused by problems with the company's streaming services, company leadership changes, and declining viewership. That third factor could be the result of wokeness, but the conclusion of major franchise series is more likely to blame.
So it basically, to me, it seems that I don't think it's necessarily wokeness that's hurting companies. Well, it kind of is. It's that companies are kind of thinking that their consumers are idiots. They don't really respect their consumers. They're being like, oh, well, this is in right now. Let's go to this trend. It didn't work. Oh, half of our consumers don't support this. It's like you're not even paying attention to your own people. But yeah, if y'all have any suggestions or comments about this, comment down below. Make sure y'all go check out this channel. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. Peace.